Hey there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. That is my template made. It looks kind of funny, doesn't it? And that is actually for my in-floor heat. I have a mock-up over here of kind of what it's going to look like. I'll show you that in just a second. First off, though, quick intro to the video. We are doing in-floor heat. I'm just going to start working on the layout a little bit today in this video. I do have a layout set up on paper, but it doesn't always translate that great into real life. And this is the first time I've done it like this. If you've been watching the YouTube channel for a while, you did see me do in-floor heat in our concrete slab in the basement. Spoiler alert, that was way easier than what this is going to be. So go check out that video out. I'll put it up in the corner up here. You can check out that video. So today we're going to work on this. Just a quick kind of overview of how this works. There's a couple of ways to do in-floor heat on a subfloor like this. So you can do a concrete pour over, which I said is the easiest to do by far, and what I wanted to do. Downfalls of that is it's harder to do a wood floor on top of it. You can do it with sleepers and stuff. It's a little more work, but my house is 100 years old, and the structure of this house will definitely not support concrete on top of my floors. I would just have cracks everywhere. It would be a mess. So that option is out. The second option would be to do staple up, which uses the same heat transfer plates that I have over here, which I'll show you in a second. But you actually staple them up to the bottom of your subfloor, and then you insulate underneath that, and that heats your subfloor and then up into your flooring. That is another option. And actually, shout out to 1806 Stonehouse. He's doing that right now. I will link his channel down below. You can see how he does that. I am going to do an above floor heat system, in-floor heat system with sleepers and heat transfer plates, like I said, for the main reason of I've heard it's a lot of work to do the staple up ones, and I think Lucas over there, 1806 Stonehouse, will definitely agree with me on that one. So hopefully this is less manual labor, although it is going to be a bit more material and a little bit more layout and that type of stuff intensive. So that is what we're doing today. We are doing an above floor hydronic or radiant heat system with 1/2-inch PEX and hot water running through it. And then we're going to use aluminum transfer plates, and we are going to use sleepers. So we'll switch around over here. I will show you the mock-up that I have. And that was really done more for my own use than yours, but since I already have it, I will show it to you. So let's move the camera over. All right, so this is the mock-up that I made of what my in-floor heat system is kind of going to look like, and I did this to kind of get my dimensions figured out, kind of figure out how the layout was going to work out, get it out of my head and onto an actual tangible item for me to kind of figure out and make sure everything made sense. So this bagged piece of plywood here, that represents what my subfloor is that I already have down. And then on top of it, we have basically 3 components, I guess. We have these aluminum fins, which will help transfer the heat. We have these sleepers that'll go between the main straight runs, and then we have this U-bend section here that basically just does the return. So basically how this looks is basically just loops that go up and down, back and forth, all the way around across my floor. And my main floor is actually gonna have 6 separate loops for the whole floor. So this is kind of what it's gonna look like. A couple notes. There's like a million different versions of these fins out there, and I tried to do some research because there's actually quite a bit of different information about them. There's different thicknesses, there's different ways of doing it between extruded and stamped, and there's systems that have this whole thing all built into one with a solid piece of aluminum over top of them, and they range a lot in price. So what I found is that going from no heat pipes or no transfer plates, so like just this PEX, just between the plywood, to using any aluminum fin like this is a huge increase in efficiency, and you can actually drop the water temperature and get better performance out of it. So definitely go with the fins. Now, going from a thin, cheaper aluminum fin like this to a thicker one or to one of those whole panel systems, it's kind of a crapshoot as to who you get your information from as to if it's better or not. Well, I guess that's not true. They are better. If you go with a thicker aluminum or if you go one of the whole panel systems, it definitely is more efficient in terms of its heat production and stuff. But for me, it wasn't worth the cost. The cost of going with a thicker aluminum or even like the whole panel systems was like multiple times more expensive. So I think I have like, I don't know, $500 or $600 into all the fins for my whole house, where like the panel systems, I got a quote, I think it was something like 15 or 20 grand to do my whole house. So it was way more, and yeah, it's more efficient, but I am never gonna get that money back. I have to live here for like 300 years to get that money back in my heating costs. So that just wasn't worth it for me. So I got these guys off of Amazon. I'll put a link down below. They are the Omega style, which means the PEX pipe actually locks into it, but whatever. Today, and just for a reference, this is not the right PEX pipe. This is just something I had laying around scrapped from earlier just to kind of test it, but it will be 1/2 inch PEX like this is here. So today we're going to be working on these U-bends right here. So that, it's over there, you can't see it. That layout or that template that I made in the intro there, that's actually what I'm going to use to make these U-turn type pieces. So they're going to be 8 inches wide and they're going to be 8 foot long, and they'll house, I think, 6 U-bends per piece. So what that template's going to allow me to do is I'll be able to put I'll cut my 8 inch wide by 8 foot long strips of plywood, and then I'll just be able to clamp that whatever this. Let me just grab it. Okay, make sure I don't hit the ceiling. So I'll be able to clamp this right onto my boards. So these are basically indexers, so I can make sure it's right in the same edge every single time. I'll clamp this onto my board, and then I have a templating router bit, which will just go in here. There's a bearing that rides around this groove, and then I'll be able to cut this groove in the piece of plywood underneath it every single time. Hopefully exactly the same. So I haven't actually done any yet, so that's what we're gonna kind of play with today. Make sure it all works like I want to, and if it does work like I hope it will, we're gonna start laying it out in the kitchen and actually get some of these panels screwed to the ground, because that's the first step. So the first step, I guess, in the overall process, screw these things to the ground, and then you come in and you run your PEX tubing and your metal fins on the ground. These get nailed down with a 3/4 roofing nail. So we'll just nail these down to the ground every, I don't know, whatever, 6 inches, 8 inches to a foot, something like that. Nail these down, and then once these are all down, we'll come back later with the sleepers and we'll glue these down with construction adhesive and screw these in much more often, so that hopefully we don't get any squeaks. So that is the plan. We'll start out with the U-bends. I'm going to rip a couple pieces on the table saw here of plywood, and it's just 3/4 the cheapest plywood I could get. Menards actually had the cheapest stuff that I could find around here, so I just have to put that. So we're going to rip a couple 8 foot by 8 inch sections, and we're going to try out the router and see how that works. So let's give that a shot. Okay, so I'll try and show you here what I'm doing. So now this is that channel that I just made. You can see I didn't go quite all the way through because I want this centerpiece to stay in here. And this is basically just what the U channel is going to look like. Now this is actually the right piece of PEX. I figured if I'm testing, I should probably get the right size. Let me switch it down a second. Okay, so that's actually the right one there, and that's in. But as you can see here, if I put my straight edge on here, I don't know if you can quite see that or not. I didn't quite go deep enough. So I got to set my router bit, I don't know, looks like maybe a big 16th deeper. So I am going to do that a second, and we'll try that. So if you see that, there is no gap between that joint there. So that's perfect. So I am going to go ahead and router out the rest of these guys here. I just did the one, so I got 5 more to go, and then we'll put it on the floor and see how it looks. All right, so as you can kind of see behind me here, I kind of have a quick little mock-up of what the floor is going to look like, kind of have it all laid out, and I think all the pieces are actually going to work out pretty good. So here, let me show you what we got here. So you can see over here, these are the pieces that I just cut, that big curvy one. And then it's going to run, and I'm going to cut these sleepers. So these are the little sleepers behind here. And then actually in this little gap in the middle there, there's actually going to be an aluminum plate in there. I don't have that in there yet, but that's where the heat transfer plates are going to be. And that's really the whole reason we're doing this. So, and then you can see over here on the side, I have a little piece of PEX in here. So it's basically just going to run through here. There'll be an aluminum transfer plate in the middle here, and then go to the end and loop around and go back. The same thing, and go back and forth all the way through the end. So that is basically what it's going to look like. I think it's actually going to work out perfect. I really don't have any complaints about that. That's pretty much exactly what I was hoping it was going to look like, and hoping it was going to work. So so far so good. Plan is coming together. So now I just have to rip a whole bunch of these. I think I need to do like 5 sheets, 5 4x8 sheets of those end pieces, and I don't know, like 25 or 30 sheets of the sleepers. So I got a lot of work to do. Probably not going to video that. I might throw something on Instagram for that, so be sure to follow us there. But next video should be probably me, actually installing all this stuff, getting it laid out, running some tubing. So be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for that. Also, next week, they are pouring our countertops. So quick little preview of what that's gonna be. This guy here, I don't remember if I said this or not, but this whole guy here and this one here, those are all gonna be concrete countertops. So next week, Wednesday, not that it really matters to you, but they are going to be pouring the concrete for that, and I'm actually gonna go and check that out, hopefully get some video of that process too. So if you're interested in how concrete countertops are made, be sure to check out probably the next video in this series, and we'll see how that works. So thank you for watching today. I really appreciate it. Definitely subscribe if you want to see more videos. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, comments, if I'm doing this wrong, or if you've done in-floor heat before and have some tips for me, I would definitely appreciate hearing those. So thanks again, and have a great evening. We'll see you next time.